Hi everyone, it's Eve Angeline here at eTrailer, and today we'll be taking a look at our Kuat Transfer V2 2-bike platform rack right here on our 2022 Tesla Model 3. Now, the Kuat Transfer is a very unique bike rack in that it has a unique goalpost design, making it easier for you to mount and dismount your bikes. Now, in the 2-bike platform rack version, you won't really get to experience that as much, but when you expand this bike rack out to up to 4 bikes, that's where it gets really cool. So we'll talk about those different features and those different specs. We are going to focus on our Tesla Model 3 today. That way you can see what is the better fit for you, your different types of bikes, and your Model 3. Now, before we go any further, I just would like to say that the Kuat Transfer V2 has 2 different 2-bike platform options. One of them is going to have an 1.25" shank, which is what I have here, and an included 2-inch hitch adapter. And with that version, or I guess this version, you cannot expand it to up to 3 or 4. Now, if you have the 2-inch shank, that is the one that you can expand out. So with that in mind, make sure you get the right bike rack for the right hitch receiver. Now, the way this one works is when you move this out, you can step into that goalpost, and that allows you to step on this lever and then tilt the rack away. Why would you want you tilt your bike rack away? Well, if you want to open up your trunk even with your bikes on. As you can see here, there's plenty of clearance between our door, our pedals, and our handlebars, meaning we can get into our trunk, grab our waters, our helmets, our bags, all without having to take the bikes or the bike rack off. And once we've gotten what we need, we just lift up on the rack, snaps into place. Let's move this into place, and then we can hit the road. So this has a weight capacity of 40 pounds per bike, which is slightly more than your regular platform rack. If you have the 2-bike platform rack with a 2-inch shank, that one's gonna have a 60-pound weight capacity. Now, the way this holds our bike down is we have 2 touch points. The first is going to be our front wheel mount. This is holding up our bike by the front wheel. I like pretty much any bike that has a front wheel mount because it makes it so much easier, whether you have a carbon fiber frame bike or a women's bike or a step-through frame. Perfectly fine, no need for adapters. And then in the back, we have our rear wheel cradle. So then that has a strap that goes around our tires. Even with our extra long wheelbase, we have a really good stability here. So we're gonna press our lever, lift up on the strap to disengage it. And then I'm gonna just sneak it over to the side there, go over to the front, hold on to the frame as I do so. I'm gonna press this button, lift this hook up and out. There we go. Once that's out of the way, we can then grab our bike, and then we're ready to hit the trails. With the bike out of the way, let's take a closer look at the rack itself. So here in the back, we have that rear wheel cradle. That means we can carry those bikes of different wheelbases. We also have the strap that goes around, and you have those grooves on the inside. So if you have tires that are wider than 3 inches, you are gonna have to get the fat bike strap adapter. Then in the front, we have those different grooves as well. Then we have our front wheel mount. And what I like to do is I like to fold it down to the outside of our cradle. That way we can maximize that open goalpost design. So then you have those on each side, and then you get a cable lock as well that wraps around your bike and locks into the end cap over here. So now let's take a look at some measurements. So we have a stealth hitch on our Model 3 today, which means that this sticks out a bit further compared to some other hitches. Measuring from our plastic bumper to the end of the rack, this sits at 41.5 inches, so kind of on the long side for a 2-bike platform rack. It's definitely something to keep in mind when you're backing into your garage or trying to park into a tight spot. A very important measurement for this vehicle is going to be ground clearance though. So I'm going to measure at the end of the rack to the ground. That's 14.5 inches. So ground clearance is very, very, very important with this vehicle. when you go up those steep inclines, your front goes up, your back goes down. You want to make sure you have a shank rise. That way you have less chances of your bikes hitting the ground. So this has that slight shank rise. Our bikes are higher up. So remember that when you go up those steep inclines. Now what if you're not planning on going out for a bike ride just yet, but you also don't want to take your bike rack off? What you can do is you can fold this bike rack up into the compact or portable position. So we're gonna have that lever over here. With how low to the ground it is, you can step on it. You are gonna have to maneuver around your arms though, so we'll just press this with our hands, lift it up. That lever snaps into place in the upright position. Let's take some more measurements. Plenty of clearance between our Tesla. In fact, from that bumper to that mount or that cradle, it's 8 inches of clearance. Now, the length now added to the back of our vehicle is going to be from the plastic bumper we measured earlier to the end of the rack. It's 17 inches, and to that foot lever, 19.5 inches. So big difference compared to when this is folded down. You'll definitely want it in this position when you're just planning on driving around town. You're not planning on taking your bikes off, especially if you have like up to the 4-bike version. This is very convenient. But what is it like living with a bike rack behind your vehicle all the time? Well, with it folded up like this, let's take a look for, yep, we definitely have trunk clearance, so that's good to see. Because then, even with a bike rack on, you're not limited to, or whenever you want to put your groceries away or grab other items. Also, notice how this does not cover our rear window. Our taillights are still visible. Our license plate and our backup camera are completely visible too. That's where the goalpost design really shines, because all of this is open. And that means as you drive around, even with a bike rack on, you feel safer and you're legal as well. Now the way this fits into our hitch is, again, I have the 1.25 inch version. You pop that in, you get that hitch pin lined up. Now this comes with a clip on the end and not a lock. If you want to get a lock, you can get that added on separately. In fact, I recommend trying to get that key like as well with a cable lock that goes with this. But that pops in and you use a security Allen key or hex wrench to tighten it down. That's actually going to be the main downside of the Kuat transfer. I prefer using a wrench or a socket or the knobs you can find on the Kuat Sherpa, but with that tighten down, that works as a security measure because people need that specific wrench to tighten down the bike rack. So my personal thoughts about the Kuat transfer is this is a really easy way to carry around a lot of different bikes and have that great stability. You have a bunch of different features here, like how easy access this lever is. You're holding your bike with one hand, you step on that lever and bring the rack down with the other. You also have full access to the trunk on your Model 3. If you need a bit more weight capacity, definitely check out the 2-inch shank version of this bike rack. Then you get the 60-pound weight capacity. In fact, I recommend trying to get the 2-inch hitch on your Tesla and then getting the bike rack to match. Now another bike rack that is similar but a bit more affordable would be the Rocky Mounts monorail. That one has similar features, has more of a tray design than the open goalpost design though. So hopefully this video helped you out with seeing the different features you might like, the different features you need, and that way you can get the best fit for you. And that was a look at the Kuat Transfer V2 2-bike platform rack on our 2022 Tesla Model 3. My name is Eve Angeline, and I hope you enjoyed the journey.